Welcome back. Thank you for joining me once again. My name is David. This is my cave. We're studying the book of Isaiah, chapters 34 to 36 tonight. This is day 35 of our journey through the year of 2021. 2021. Yeah, that's right. Golly, it was like just 20 years ago or 21 years ago I graduated high school. Okay, we're getting old. At least I am. Anyway, so we're in the judgment of the nations. Okay, a lot in Isaiah is about prophecy. He's one of the good prophets. One of the prophets who actually was listening to the Lord and was prophesying appropriately. And we'll get into that. And of course, he's talking about judgment right now on the nations. Come near, you nations, to hear, and heed, you people, let the earth hear and all that is in it, the world and all the things that are coming. For indignation from the Lord is against all the nations. So the wrath of God is coming. Okay. Verse 4 is a very interesting verse. It says, all of the host of heaven shall be dissolved. That's referring to the universe, the stars, the sky, the planets, all of that. It says the heavens will be rolled up like a scroll. So how'd they get there in the first place? Right. Well, obviously God created them. He created them in such a way as he laid them out. But even Revelation 6:13 and 14 say, the stars in the sky fell to the earth, as figs drop from a fig tree when shaken by a strong wind. The heavens receded like a scroll being rolled up. Every mountain and island is removed from its place. So obviously there's going to be some major catastrophic changes to the earth in the end times. It's going to be crazy. Magnotomies, one of those big ancient names back in the day, had discovered there was at least 10 dimensions to our universe. 4 knowable and 6 unknowable. And I think he figured all that out just from reading the book of Genesis and other places. But it's just, and we know that Jesus obviously had to have gone through several dimensions to walk into a room that was locked. He walked through the walls. However he got there, we don't really know. That's all a bunch of science stuff that we're not going to get into right now. But it's interesting to say that he continues to prophesy about the host of heaven falling, the fruit falling from the fig tree, all of that. Then he goes on to this whole thing about Edom and how God is going to bring judgment on Edom, and we see 300 years later than Isaiah, Obadiah. That's his entire book. It's just one chapter. It's one chapter book of Obadiah is talking about Edom, and that's Malachi. Chapter 1, 3 to 4 talks about Edom. Edom says, though I was crushed, I will rebuild the ruins. But this is what the Lord Almighty says, they may rebuild, but I will demolish. They will be called the wicked land, people always under the wrath of the Lord. I don't think I'd want to live in a place that's always under the wrath of the Lord. Whew. Welcome to the bad place to be. Chapter 35, Kingdom Blessings for Israel, is a poetic poem just about God's redemption, his restoration of his people and his land. A highway shall be there, and a road shall be called the highway of holiness. Unclean shall pass over it. Whoever walks on the road, although a fool, shall not go astray. No lion shall be there, nor any ravenous beast. Kind of like that, even though you're a fool and you go on it, Just obviously, you gotta have your heart right with God. Okay, the next chapter, 36, this is more narrative, goes into a whole thing with Sennacherib and the Assyrian army coming at Hezekiah. Okay, you can also read parallel passages in 2 Kings 18, and I think that goes to 21, and 2 Chronicles 32 and 33 covers this whole area, because Hezekiah had come after the bad king Ahaz. Ahaz was a horrible king. He set up all of these monuments to false gods and altars and all of this stuff. Hezekiah comes in next, and he tears apart all of the false gods, all the false altars, all of that stuff. Okay, he tears it apart. And the Assyrian guy comes in here, well, the spokesman for the Assyrian ruler comes in and says, you're so weak. You people are weak. I would give you guys a bunch of horses if I thought you had anybody who could actually ride them. I mean, he insults Hezekiah's people. He insults Hezekiah like crazy. But it's like God's saying, God's listening to all this, of course, but Hezekiah's like, hearing this whole message from the enemy, saying we're gonna just break apart your wall if it was a bruised reed, and it's funny how he just comes at Hezekiah, and he obviously is misinformed because he believes that Hezekiah had torn down the idols or the altars and stuff to God, of the God of Israel. But no, Hezekiah had to turn down all these false gods. Okay? Because one thing that they did back in that day, it was a major victory for a nation conquering to say, my gods are better than your gods, essentially. And that's kind of the same thing you see with Elijah on Mount Carmel, like really, your puny little gods can't even do this. But that's basically what it was. Sennacherib and the Assyrian army were saying Hezekiah can't even take care of his own gods, stuff. He didn't realize that Hezekiah was tearing apart the false gods, getting rid of the stuff that was in the way, making people not worship God, was distracting people from worshiping the Lord. So it's kind of neat to see Hezekiah here, and in the next chapter we're going to cover Hezekiah's prayer, which is amazing. I love what he's going to do. Basically, taking all of the things, all of the threats, all the things the Assyrian army said, and he's going to take them up to the room, and he's going to lay them all down at the altar before God, and he's going to say, "Look what they're saying about me. Help me here." Basically, is what he's gonna say. That's gonna be fun. We'll get to that in the next lesson. That'll be Isaiah 37 through 39 and Mark 9. So there's gonna be a lot to cover. But again, Isaiah was one of those prophets. He was an amazing prophet. I want you to realize there was a lot of false prophets. There were a lot of people out there that said, the Lord gave me a dream. The Lord gave me a vision. The Lord gave me a prophecy that this nation is not going to be overtaken. That Babylon's going to come after Assyria. But basically saying that God is going to get rid of our enemies and he's not going to send us into exile and all of that. But God makes it very clear to his prophets that the people were going to go into exile. Period. They were going to face Babylon as a punishment. We can't escape that reality for the reality we have in our day and age now, or any day and age. God sometimes uses our enemies to punish us, to teach us lessons, okay? But it's all Father filtered. All of the things that happened to Israel could have been avoided had God been listened to by the people the prophets were speaking to. And we'll get into more of that. But I just wanted to share that short bit right there. Thank you for listening to David's Word of Truth today. Hope you are doing well. And let's just close with some prayer. Lord, I just thank you. Thank you for teaching us your word. Thank you for teaching us how to pray through your word and speak into our lives. I just pray for anyone listening that you will be with them. Bless them tonight, Father. Give them strength. Give them mercy. Don't let them be at rest until they find rest in you. Thank you, my friends.